Hi Beauty Talk, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about Love Island USA Season 7. Now let's just get this out of the way. I did not watch the show, so I'm actually missing all of the tea. But you know, I have a valid excuse, a medical reason actually, why I can't participate in the cultural phenomenon. I have so few brain cells already that if I were to introduce them to the brain rot that is Love Island USA, I fear I'd probably pass away. So let's take a look at the real heroes of the show, the hair and the makeup people, okay? My goodness, just look at the results. These looks are so stunning that it makes me regret not being more into reality television. I was able to enjoy and pick out some of my favorite looks just from reading the articles like a fucking boomer, yes. And I'll be doing a little tutorial compilation of my 3 favorite looks that I tried at home over the summer, inspired by the beautiful faces of Love Island USA Season 7. Before we start, I just want to mention my school called Hyperreal Academy, where I teach permanent makeup for licensing, certification, and advanced programs for the pros. I co-founded this academy in 2020 with the goal of teaching a very valuable skill, bringing the best new technology in the field to my programs, and most importantly, creating jobs in my community. And now that it's 2025, I'm happy to say I was able to achieve all of my goals, and creating beautiful permanent makeup work for my clients is now my main source of income. It's how I'm able to afford to buy makeup to try out at home, to even have time to explore my hobbies and my creativity, and to travel. So it's really given me a lot, and I do wish to give back to this community. If you want to learn how to become an elite PMU artist, check out my academy at hyperrealacademy.com and follow us on YouTube, where we give free education as our way to give back to the people who support us and as our way to connect with our growing community. Now back to the tutorials. And the first look we're going to be trying at home is Huda's. Big ass lashes, bold brows, faux freckles, a spray tan, and a freshly filled lips. The secret to making this look fresh for 2025 is to keep it fresh with dewy skin. Otherwise, it will look like too much makeup, like that mess we called 2017. No. What makes this look so successful and more modern is the freshness of the skin, effectively blending clean girl beauty with crash out drama. This is the key that will take us out of the super heavy, cakey, too much everywhere era, but without sacrificing full glam. Start off strong with a matte eyeshadow base. We'll be adding a wing using a dark brown pencil, and we'll be looking for a soft and structured, not the classic big black sharp wing. So we're going to use a pencil for that because pencils are going to be less structured, easier to smudge and blend. You're going to want to aim for a soft cast of shadow with just enough shape to give it some definition. Think eye contour. And with this eye contour, we're going to be placing it at the outer and inner corners, along with right underneath that brow bone. Wherever you typically do your eye contour, that's where you're going to want to place that eyeshadow, and make sure to extend this shadow out. Make sure to give it that smoky sultriness, but keep it structured. I wanted to laminate my brows for this look, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I'll be using a clear brow wax to try to hold them in place. I like to add some powder to set this wax to try to eliminate some of that extra shine. It's really important to set your wax product just so that you don't get that layer of film that kind of gives you that ugly flashback in photos. Now I'm using the Kiss MLBB lash in Big Personality. So this is not going to be the My Lash But Better MLBB, it's going to be the My Lash But Bolder. Very important distinction, okay? These are literally Huda's lashes, by the way. They're so big, so bold, just in your face. As my photographer likes to say, this is like fuck you makeup, just crash out ready. It's that kind of vibe. I really live for this kind of drama, truly. So the shape of it is so big, bold, and heavy that they really pull your eyes downward. That heaviness is really sultry. It reads as kind of like bedroom eyes. It's very flattering for a lot of different eye shapes. You just have to try it to believe it. And thankfully, the MLBB lashes are pretty cheap. Remember to add some darkness to the lower lash line, otherwise the eyes will look too top heavy and then they'll look unbalanced. And then you can use a pencil for fake freckles, okay? Using a spray tan and flipping it on with a brush, that's actually the best way to get it just right with barely any effort. I just don't have spray tanner, jeez. You'll get brighter, fresher skin with that method, so I really do recommend doing the spray tan method. If you like fake freckles, you don't mind keeping them for days at a time. But for me, I'm just going to be using my Makeup Forever pencil and tapping it out with my fingertips. I'll be overlining the lips, of course, and applying a beige color to blend into the liner. Now, I used a lip plumper. Oh my goodness. I used Fenty Heat, which it plumps the lips, and wow, this thing stings. It just, I can't imagine using this for multiple days at a time. Like, holy moly, I'd rather just get my lips filled. If you're in the market to get a lip plumper, I'll tell you, these things actually work. You do get that really big kind of freshly filled effect, and the best part is that there's no overfilling when it comes to lip plumping glosses. You just swipe them on and your lips instantly get bigger without looking overdone. So if you like that look, try a lip plumper before getting filled. So yeah, this is the look. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's great. I really think that this kind of heavy drama, it's such a fresh take on clean beauty. You know, clean beauty, it doesn't necessarily have to be no makeup. You can have these big, bold features like big lips, big lashes, and even big brows with a nice little lamination. If you want to do a full glam, the best way to keep it looking modern and fresh is to keep the skin nice and healthy. Whatever reads as less layers is going to be a more effective look. Okay, so the next look is going to be Andrina's look, and I like to call this the 90s sultry smudged tight line with very bold contoured lips. Okay, what an absolute classic on an absolute bombshell. So we can all agree that she does not need much. But I really like that tight line look that she picked, and I think it really works for her. I'm a big believer that anyone can rock the 90s sultry look. However, there are gonna be a few pro tips and tricks that can really elevate this look and kind of modernize it too. So if you like this kind of makeup, but always feel like something is a little off, then pay attention. This look is easy to master once you know how it works. Starting off, keep the brows nice and compact, so it should be dark and shapely, but don't make it too large. Moving away from the laminated brows we did for the Huda look, I want this to be dark and defined, very clean. You could even use concealer to clean it up a little bit more, but I suggest not too much of that. Shape the brows into a low to medium arch to get that elegant frame. Now we're gonna start this smoky look with a sultry smoky eye base. We see a lot of people skip this step, but really focus on getting that gradient just right. It's more than just a black eyeshadow. And you're also going to want to go darker and a little bit higher on the lids if you have hooded eyes. Otherwise, you will lose that smoky look. It's really hard for people with hooded and monolid eyes to get the smoky look right, so this one is for my people. Another step that should not be skipped, pick a color for the smoke out base. You can choose a warm brown, a cool mauve like I did, like a pink mauve, or even a shimmering bronze. It doesn't have to be matte. You're just going to need a color for it to really work, in my opinion. All right, so tight lining makes the look. We all know this, but there are a few steps that can really level up your approach to tight lining. So you don't look like you're back in high school listening to My Chemical Romance. Yeah? This type of eyeliner is not just a phase, mom. This tight liner is elegant and it's also red carpet friendly. It's a staple. And the way we take it out of high school and into the red carpet is to be strategic about where to smudge and then where to keep it sharp. So I smudged the upper and lower lash line, more so the lower lash line because I don't have a lot of real estate in the upper lash line, right? Then I added a tiny wing into the inner corners to really pull my eyes together to enhance that sultry effect. This is, you could either do it or don't. I think it's very successful for people who have almond eyes, for people who have very round, beady eyes like myself. Right, but on that note, don't overdo it or you'll end up looking cross-eyed. To finish off the eye look, use a short lash with heavy volume. Now, unlike the MLBB lash that's long and large, you're going to want something short but dense. Ideally with crisscrosses for that extra drama. The one I used is the House of Lashes Noir Fairy Minis, and these are honestly the perfect lashes for this type of look. Whenever you want to do a smoky eye, you want to give that big, bold drama to really like squint the eyes a little bit. I really like the Noir Fairy lashes, and I prefer the minis because they work better on people with hooded eye shapes. Since the lash itself is short on the mini, the volume is going to be concentrated near the base of the strip, exactly what we need to really enhance that gradient of going from color to dark to black. I kept the face makeup minimal and matte with my favorite reverse contour, where you apply concealer to help chisel out the contour color you just placed. For the contour, I try to keep it a little bit neutral to cool tone because I'm not looking to warm up the face that much, because I did use a cool tone color for the smoky eye. But you choose whichever color family you want to use. I would say stick to the same color family. That's the way that this look really works. And the lips are contoured too. Very contour heavy look for this one. I love using a super dark brown liner for this. This one's a very rich neutral brown. Add some baby beige or a pale pink gloss to really liven up the look and enhance the lips contrast. And then to blend that color with the lip line without making it look like, just like a crayon line, I'd want to use a warm brown lip gloss like the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Brownie Drip. And pairing this look with matte skin and minimal shine, this is also what makes the lip gloss stand out. And having this contrast for the lips, it will make your lips look a lot bigger without any filler or without any plumping products needed. So seeing this kind of look on not just one, but actually multiple people on the show, it looks super flattering. It looks really beautiful. No matter what kind of eye shape you have, I think this kind of vibe works for everyone. This is the perfect kind of look to go for if you want to take your makeup from day to night. So you don't have to take off your makeup. You can apply directly over whatever you just had. Definitely try out this one if you want that modern type of makeup, but with a little bit of a vintage feel. And now for the final look, the one that I'm wearing today, actually. This look is inspired by Ariana's immaculate golden hour makeup. I like to call this look the final boss of soft glam. This look works well on just about every single human being, but you're going to want to choose the right shade and the right color in order to make it work for you. Glowing looks will always look best on people with tanned skin. Pale folk need to choose a darker gold or choose something with a color like pink or a rose gold to really get that contrast that makes the glow happen. You'll likely end up with a much darker eye look than your celebrity crush, especially if you have paler skin than they do. But this is how we should be doing this look. So if you like the golden ethereal look, just remember, without contrast, you won't see any glow. We're going lighter on the brows to pull attention towards the eyelids instead for this look, and radiant makeup works better without having a frame. When I say frame, I mean like a tight liner or a super defined pair of brows. I'm using the Benefit Gimme Brow. This is like a dry version of Glossier's Boy Brow, very little structure, just barely any color, and I'm finishing off the definition with a pencil, but very sparsely. You'll want to add some of the golden color all over the lids to warm up the underpainting of this look. I'm going to be using a red, so I'll be using the Hourglass eyeshadow stick in the shade Phoenix. And then choose a slightly darker shade in the same color family and sweep that color at the corner of the lid as well as the lower lash line. You're going to want a slightly darker color for the lower lash line. For this look, you'll be very generally kind of cocooning the entire eye area. It's going to be a very loose type of application. Here, you can then finish off with an eye contour. I like using a warm bronzer for this optional step because the eye look itself is going to shift a bit warmer than neutral. Everyone's eye contour will look different. I can make a video all about eye contouring later. Next, choose either a champagne gold, rose gold, or even a copper bronze gold that works with the color of your base that you just applied. Apply this color to the center of the lids and very carefully blend out the edges only. So you're going to be mixing this brighter gold with your base color that's already gold, but a little bit darker, right? So this contrast is what makes it really shine. So in order to keep that contrast going, you can't blend it out too much. That's why I said just blend the edges. Add a matte highlight under the brows to give them a lift. This is optional. I don't always do this step, but having a matte highlight is important because you want to save your brightest shimmering shade for the inner corner highlight. And try to avoid black for this look. You want to keep it very soft, and black will completely take away from that. For this look, I picked the Kiss MLBB lash. This one is My Lashes But Better. This is the MLBB lash in Blessed. This is my favorite lash, one of my favorite lashes of all time that is not discontinued. This is the best dainty lash that is fluttery soft, but it also doesn't compromise on volume. So Ariana's artist went for a heart-shaped blush, and it works really well with her face shape. This type of placement is going to hug your cheekbones, giving them kind of like a cradling lift. The blush is placed so that the color will then melt right into your bronzer. This blush should be shimmery, ideally with a warm and reflective shimmer. I wanted to use the Rare Luminous blush, but it has a cool toned shift, so I went for a more neutral option instead. I chose the Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm, and that one is a little bit cooler toned than what I wanted, but it is very pink and it is very luminous, so I just kind of went for it. But if I had my choice of product, I would probably pick something that's a little bit warmer than this one. And for bronzer, try adding it very softly and conservatively, but with a medium to large sized brush. This one is an angled brush. I had to really work to make sure that I'm not applying too much. You can always brush off most of the product on the back of your hand, and that prevents you from over applying. This kind of diffused application is important so that it doesn't look too structured and thus take away from the softness of this look. So next, we're going to be adding a highlighter to even further amp up this luminosity. So I know we already used a luminous blush, but you can add a very soft layer to further intensify this highlight, choosing a neutral toned highlight like this champagne one from Flower Nose. Apply it with a very, very, very soft layer with a very light hand onto the temples, nose bridge, cheekbones, and the chin. You can also apply this onto the Cupid's bow. For the lips, use a nude beige color. So I'm using this very, very light neutral brown from Makeup Forever. Pick a color that's just a little bit darker than your contour and use that to contour your lips. You want it to be very invisible, so you want there to be a little bit of a shadow, but you don't want there to be a line. And no need for shimmer here. Keep it matte or satin or even sheer for the ideal lip look. I used the shade Bitch Perfect from Charlotte Tilbury, and then I blended it straight into the lip liner. And then I took that lip liner and I blurred it out just a little bit further. And I really, really love this look. It's so pretty, it's so soft and ethereal, but you know, this isn't the true look until we put in the hair extensions. Okay, these extensions are entirely too long, but you know, let me have that mermaid moment. I got these extensions from Insert Name Here, and they're my favorite extensions ever. And what I like most about them is how they just never seem to tangle. So this is the look. I'm a huge fan of how they did the blush, and I really, really enjoy having a blend of the matte lips that are just barely contoured, very barely their brows, and I really like finishing this look off with just a little bit of highlighter to really send it home. So these are my 3 favorite looks from Love Island Season 7. Let me know in the comments which makeup look from this season caught your eye, if you kept up with it. And you know, summer might be over, but these looks are so perfect to just take with you into the fall and the winter. You can always play around with the color palette to get these looks to work for you and your own personal style. And hopefully you'll take some of my tips and tricks to get creative and to update your makeup style for the upcoming fall season. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.